There it is.
There it is.
Just us two again.
Ugh. Where is CJ?
He's something at work, and he had to be in Nebraska, and I can't get back to the hotel, and wherever the fuck he is, and I don't know. And he texted me earlier that he wasn't going to be able to get back in time.
At this point, we're like parents going out for a date night where we can only talk about our kids, and our kid is CJ. Just like, where is he? I don't know. I hope he's okay. I don't know. I hope he's doing well. Hope he's thinking about us.
I saw to your point about it feeling like a son. I was on Instagram. His girlfriend posted a picture of him in her stories for Happy Boyfriend Day. And I was like, aw, look at CJ.
Great. Happy Boyfriend Day.
Yeah. Happy Boyfriend Day, CJ.
Happy Boyfriend Day, CJ. He is all of our boyfriends.
Maybe that's what maybe they're celebrating Boyfriend Day. Maybe that's what's really going on.
Important. You can't take it for granted, you know?
Nope. It's funny too, to think about, I'm glad we have him. He's very valuable. But I notice him most when he is gone when we finish, I can go right to bed when he's here.
Sure.
And now I can't. Fuck.
Yeah.
I was about to say we should have never given him the job because then he maybe wouldn't have gotten his current job, but then he would have never gotten the job. It would have been self-defeating, right?
Tough logic to get there.
Oh.
VDB
right.
or Valerie.
My wife. That's my wife calling.
I heard it again.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Why am I hearing it?
Well, you're hearing it because when I play audio, I do it through Bluetooth through the mixer. So I have my phone through Bluetooth. But you know what I should do? I should put it on Do Not Disturb.
I thought you were a phone on vibrate guy.
I am.
They're having a team.
There's Rick Bucher. I am a phone on vibrate guy. I think maybe no, not for calls. Calls are the only thing that do. But everything else, I actually don't get vibrate. Text and stuff, I don't get anything. I don't have any notifications.
Turn them off.
Yep.
Don't even get them.
Fuck it. I look at my phone all day long. I'll see it eventually. And it said VDB if anyone was listening, because I've called my wife that for a while because her name is Valerie and then her last name has a D and a B in it. So there you go. There's my special nickname for my wife. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by, and if you're listening on the pod, you don't usually get this whole intro part. So this is what you're missing on YouTube. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using promo code RTRS and brought to you by...
What an advertisement for the YouTube. Yeah. Whatever that was. Really selling it.
Yeah. And brought to you by Big Barker. Man, now my throat. Here, fill time for 2 seconds.
I can do it.
There we go.
Wait, let me scroll up. I got it. No. I already started. I'm already here.
Okay.
I'm trying to scroll up. My scroll's not working.
And
clicking on the wrong thing. Hang on. Okay. Brought to you by Big Barker, Therapeutic Dog Breaks. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Briggs Auction, the official auction in the process at briggsauction.com/Ricky. And Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver.
Woo!
I'll do it. I'll keep going. On the show today, Kevin Durant makes a trade demand. I feel like we haven't actually talked about it. I feel like we actually really seriously, honestly have not talked about the Kevin Durant Sixers possibility, and I think now we should do it. We should for sure do it. There's also more Ben Simmons drama. Apparently, we'll never stop talking about it. It'll never stop existing. And ESPN projects the Sixers to finish 4th in the East, which I'm just learning as I'm reading that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Before we get going as well, please sign up for our Bark in the Park team. It is our annual team not prevent, you don't want to prevent anything, to support Providence Animal Center. It's October 22nd at Rose Tree Park. We always lead the fundraising. I would like to raise $16,000 this year. Last year, we were just over 15. We have 31 members so far. I'd like to get that to 100. We've raised $3,200 so far. The good news is we have a very silly shirt designed by one Todd Purse, who is an awesome Delaware artist, and he drew the shirt with Rebel playing basketball on the moon. All you have to do is join the team, raise $50, and if you raise 100, you get the Providence Animal Center shirt as well. We'd like to thank our sponsors of the team, Mortgage CS, also sponsored of the plant-based food truck festival that Providence will have, and LL Pavorsky Jewelers, Body Bio, DraftKings, and Briggs Auction. I did mention Kinetic as well, our friends at Kinetic Skateboarding. It's hot as fuck right now, so you need some T-shirts, and you need some sneakers. I guess you need sneakers all the time, but the T-shirts and shorts when it's hot as fuck. And Kinetic has lots of great T-shirts and shorts. And if you're a skateboarder, of course, they have skateboards as well. And sneakers that you're not going to find anywhere else, true exclusives. Go to kineticskateboarding.com and use promo code DaveSilver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I am Spike Eskin, along with a guy who did not know that there is a Rights to Ricky Sanchez subreddit. That is one Mike Levin.
No, I didn't.
I found out today.
You didn't start it?
No. I got an email. There hasn't been a post there was a post, I guess, in the last few days. There hadn't been one in a while, thanks to Jackson, who mentioned that he posted in the subreddit and he wanted to start a Ricky fantasy football league. And it really has nothing to do with me, but it is there, and it is a subreddit. So there you go. We have to start with the top story. CJ is not here. No. What's interesting is I had to update the rundown in that we were going to talk about Kevin Durant, but there wasn't really a Sixers tie-in until one Ian Begley, whose reports we've always trusted, wrote about Kevin Durant today and Durant's desire to go to Boston, which one thing that is super hilarious is that one of the reasons he wants to go to Boston is because of Ime Udoka, who of course was a assistant coach for the 76ers
and the
Nets. More notably for us, the 76ers, because we are a 76ers podcast. But here is the big story for this podcast. Here it is. As various outlets have reported, Miami and Toronto are among the teams with interest in Durant. It's fair to assume that nearly all NBA teams have checked in with Brooklyn in some fashion regarding Durant. Something worth noting. As of earlier in the week, there were high-ranking members of the Sixers who felt strongly about engaging with Brooklyn on a Durant trade. It is unknown if Brooklyn and Philadelphia have made any recent progress on a trade. The Sixers would almost certainly have to include Tyrese Maxey. I think you could get rid of the almost in that. Would certainly have to include Tyrese Maxey in a trade for Durant. Given the dynamics at play, you'd think that Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, and other players / draft picks would be included. Interesting to note that based on Tobias Harris's wedding photos, Matisse Thybulle and Tyrese Maxey, two of the Sixers who were at his wedding, along with, who was the fourth one? Niang, and JJ Redick was there. The Sixers, also of note, cannot trade any draft picks right now, so they could not attach any draft picks. Mike, I ask you two questions. First, A, do you believe that this is a realistic possibility? And then B, would you do it?
Realistic possibility, I would say on the Sixers end, of course. I think especially with Daryl here, star hunting, and the legacy of Brett Brown star hunting
There you go.
will always permeate
star hunter.
everything. And so I think that they're always going to, any big name guy becoming somewhat available, I think that they're going to give it a shot. Daryl will. I think so will Elton. I think Elton, in his brief time as collaboration chief head, made it very clear that he was not unwilling to roll the dice and make a big move. I really don't think that this is the best trade Brooklyn could get. As you said, they can't trade any picks. They can trade zero.
They could
zero
trade swaps.
first round picks.
They can't trade any picks.
Yeah. God, I thought there was one far out into the future, but I guess they're backing it up. That's tough. I mean, that's tough I just think that the Brooklyn should be able to get something on the level of a Rudy Gobert package. I don't think they're going to get more than a Rudy Gobert package because just for the sheer amount of stuff that was traded in that ridiculous deal.
Yeah, I think everybody needs to forget about that trade for a moment. You know, it was not that.
It's just tough because it's the same offseason. That's what makes it like easily comparable. If it was last offseason, then you go like, okay, times have changed, whatever, new CBA, blah, blah, blah. But I think Brooklyn is going to hold out, rightfully so, hold out for the best offer they can get. And I just don't think trading with the Sixers again for Maxey, Tobias, Matisse, and whoever else they want is...
to create the Sixers without Embiid, basically, which is not like this is basically what they're creating, you know? Like they're creating...
That's right.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's the best option. And so I think that there's a very high likelihood that this doesn't happen on the Nets side, not on the Sixers side. I want to talk about it just in the let's imagine the Sixers get Durant. I feel like I've been struggling with this because I am head over heels in love with Tyrese Maxey. I love everything about him. I want him to be here forever. I think he's perfect. I am fully enamored with how much better he's gotten year to year and during the year and all of it. And being there, playing at LaSalle, everything he's doing, holding a camp for kids at his age already, everything he's doing, I'm just I love it. I couldn't get enough of it. And so that is really clouding any thought about Kevin Durant actually in a Sixers jersey, even though obviously you trade Tyrese Maxey for Kevin Durant every single time. I know that. But I'm an emotional guy. I love what I love. I love Tyrese Maxey. And so, but let's remove that element for a second and just talk about Kevin Durant.
Hold on.
Okay.
I would not do it.
Oh.
If you look at...
That's a huge surprise.
Yeah.
Let me just sit in that for a second. Let me just really... because you're going to explain yourself, but I want to imagine how you got there for a second. I want to live on
It took me a while. And realize as well...
Cliffhanger.
I work with maybe two of the biggest Nets fans in the world. Maybe the only two giant Net fans in the world. Evan and Keith. This is, I would say, on some levels, very inconsistent with positions I've had, but on other levels, consistent with positions I've had, which means that I have no moral compass if it can be both.
Can I guess?
Can you guess what?
Your position.
Sure.
Why? I think you're worried that he's too old. And
well, it is part of it. Part of it is
age and guys that you think are fat looking or too skinny. Anything on those sides of things are your, I think, trigger points.
So
too fat, too skinny, too old. I think those are the spike bumps.
He is old. He has had serious injuries. He's a great player, obviously. One of the 3 best players in the NBA, arguably the best. I don't think he's the best, but one of the 3 best players in the NBA, all-time player. Also has become an all-time loser as well. This shit, I don't want 2 of these fuckers on the Sixers. Like, nothing, and in this
the
is
loser angle. I hadn't considered the loser angle.
This is
the other one.
Well, there's a lot of loser energy here. You are truly doubling down on winning, and it obviously they would become title favorites immediately. Whether they would actually have the best chance of winning the title, I don't know. They would become title favorites immediately. But I just can't, from an emotional standpoint, to me, on some level, and I've been here before, and I know I've been criticized for this, would feel a little empty to go and fucking try to win a title with these 2 fuckers who ruined a franchise and then are coming over here because they didn't feel like being there anymore. And I'd just be waiting around for them to do it here. And I would just give me this kid, just give me the next 10 years of him. And
Maxey.
Yeah. There are trades I would include Maxey in, not this one. And like, I think there are a lot of reasons that there's no offer blowing their doors off. Part of it is is he going to go to X team and play there? Like, he's got to want to be there, obviously. The other one is, of those teams that he would want to be, there might not be the assets to do it.
Yeah.
And part of it too is the 34-year-old thing and the injury thing. So that's why I would say thanks, but no thanks on that one.
Yeah. I mean, there's just on their side of things. First of all, that's interesting. I don't think that it's unreasonable to say like Harden is a guy that's blown up a team or 2. Durant. I mean, I would say this is really Durant's first time doing that. Although it's, pretty understandable, although maybe who he faults in this situation, whether it's the GM Sean Marks or the coach Steve Nash, who was never really a coach, because we're all kind of the coach here. You know, it doesn't matter whose name on the call sheet says like coach. It's like we're all coach. Joe Harris is a coach. Fucking the Nets. Who's the Nets mascot?
DeAndre Jordan's a coach. Is it that Knight? Is the Knight the mascot?
Nettie the Knight. Nettie Pot is the
Nettie Pot the Knight.
Good.
He will fight with a joust, and then he'll clean out your sinuses.
That's good. It's important. It's a good. You want a clear role in your mascot. This is like, it's not his fault why this went awry, although he was kind of like LeBron style, the team builder a little bit in this world.
We'll get to that.
It's not him just like having being pouty.
Well, it kind of is. He picked the coach. He picked his teammates. And then he wants to get the coach fired.
Other shit happened first, and then he finally reacted. It went bad for anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
It is interesting. The thing on the net side of like why their doors aren't getting blown off, I think that the like weirdness of the DeAndre Ayton thing took one team off the list, although I think the Suns could still cobble together a decent package centered around Mikal Bridges and some probably mediocre draft picks. But it's also like because of his age, this isn't like hard to compare between sports, but this isn't a Juan Soto situation where you're like, all right, we're going to have him for 10 years. Let's trade fucking everything for him no matter what. Because it's like, if you don't think you can win a championship the next year or two, then it's pretty pointless. And so that narrows it down a lot. Plus, a lot of teams have already traded their picks, like the Sixers, not only the Sixers, but like the Sixers, so that like there's like 4 teams in the league, like the Thunder and the Rockets and a couple other ones that I'm forgetting. Maybe the Blazers? Mostly Thunder and Rockets. Maybe the Magic a little bit. All don't really have picks to trade. Those teams have the picks and other teams don't have them. And so you look around and it's like, who realistically would, if I'm Denver, I would. I would trade Michael Porter Jr. for him in a fucking heartbeat. You know that. Everybody knows, has listened to this podcast, knows I would do that. Center a package around that. I think the Pelicans have a shot. I would trade Brandon Ingram for him for sure. And go from there, or Zion if you don't believe in his health, and go from there. There's not that many teams that you can make a trade package work where who they would be sending out will be worthwhile for Brooklyn, and who they keep would be worthwhile for Durant to, contend for a title around. Anyway, but the idea of separating it from the Maxey thing, I mean, it's Kevin Durant, man. He's really good. He's really, really good, and he's still a really good two-way player. His defense has gotten a little bit worse as he's gotten older. Yes, he's had some injury issues, but he still looked incredible last season. Having Embiid behind him defensively to back him up would make it so much easier on him. Having him there would make it easier on Durant or Embiid and Harden. He's Kevin Durant, and he might want to come here. Matt Carey, form of the Liberty Ballers coaching tree, said that once again, let's take a victory lap about Kevin Durant possibly listing the Sixers as a destination. And the only reason he's doing that is because of Embiid, and the only reason we have Embiid is because of the process. So let's take a little victory lap there. Important to do. But it's Kevin Durant, and Embiid's timeline, as far as his prime goes, is who knows how long. Harden's timeline for how good he'll be for this year and especially beyond is who knows how long. PJ Tucker is old. PJ Tucker and Durant are very close. Both went to Texas, mentoring and all that stuff. Harden and Durant seem to have patched things up because they went to a concert together. It's you can make a roster out of Harden, Melton, Tucker, Durant, Embiid, and fucking anybody else.
How are they going to survive without Tobias Harris's defense, though?
I mean, Durant's a better defender than Tobias Harris.
Of course, I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, he's older for sure. But look, Tobias. Look, I have vouched and will continue to vouch for Tobias's defense. Newly married Tobias's defense, on that end, lately. But I think there's a way to make it work. And then, as we've talked about for years, that gives you protection. If you have Harden, Durant, and Embiid, that gives you protection if one of them goes down, because three guys who have had a number of injuries, where if one of them goes down, you still feel good about having two of them. So, yeah, they'd be a championship team. They'd probably win a championship, and it'd still be Embiid. I think as far as the ship of Theseus goes, it's still Embiid. Anytime Embiid's there, I feel like it's still ours. So I would be excited about it, and I would still, if it's Maxey, Tobias, since they can't trade any picks, it's not much mortgaging the future aside from just really going all in on the next 2 or 3 years. If it's Maxey, Tobias,
swaps,
Matisse, Korkmaz, Springer, whatever, swaps,
Subers.
A bunch of swaps. Yeah, Subers is already there. Then I think you have to do it. I think you just have to do it. And then you expect someone's going to want to come here. Some Wes Matthews type, obviously not Wes Matthews because he's on Milwaukee, but some Wes Matthews type is going to want to demand a buyout. Finally bring Markieff Morris home, who's just banging down the door.
It'd be fucking DeAndre Jordan.
It would definitely be DeAndre Jordan, 100%. He's in Denver right now, but he would have to be there. He would clone himself just so he could be on this team. But those kinds of minimum players would want to come here and play with those three guys, which is crazy, and it's crazy they'd be here. But yes, I think I would close I would do it. I've already said I love Maxey so much. You know how in a mafia movie when you have to the boss has to kill somebody he loves, he'd be like, somebody else do it, I'm gonna be out of town. And so I would want to, if this trade happened, I'd want to be let me go on vacation and turn my phone off, and I come back and it's already over, the body's already off the plate, I don't have to look at it, there's no blood around to clean up.
The body is what?
Off my plate? Off my plate. It's already taken away. I'm not looking at it. I don't have to worry about cleaning up or doing any damage control. It's just okay, that's done. Let's already put that in the past and look forward and have this team. I'd be real sad to trade Maxey. I would just be really, 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 really sad.
I have one more Durant statement after we talk about Big Barker. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds, long time sponsor of the Ricky, need some processed pups. Sometimes I lag in telling people to send in their processed pup photos. I like looking at dogs on Big Barker Dog Beds. Send it to rights to Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. You want to get your own Big Barker, you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. That's where you get the processed pup patches for free. When you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, it'll look like the processed pup patches are like $8 or something, but when you go to checkout, it makes them free. So just remember that. Why a Big Barker? Because you care about your dog, and it is the only dog bed proven to have a positive effect on your dog's health. It's engineered by experts to do so. PenVet proved it. The thing is that what it does is supports your dog's joints. So as your dog ages, things like arthritis, joint pain that creep in there have less an effect on your dog. So it'll help your young dog stay, springy and youthful longer, and your older dog make more comfortable and have less pain, less joint pain, more range of motion, all of those things. This is actually proven and actually happens. Your job as a dog owner is to make your dog happy and healthy, give your dog the best life possible. Can only be done with a Big Barker. bigbarker.com/Ricky. And they are fine looking. Fine looking. We have one in the bedroom. Looks fine. Looks like another piece of furniture. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1-year at-home trial. They will give you a free refund, even pay for the shipping if you don't like it. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker Dog Beds.
Ruff.
So the other thing that I would say here is that I hope that Joe Tsai just fucking nuts up and tells the guy he's not trading him unless they get the biggest package in the world. I actually disagree with you a little bit on Kevin Durant's ownership of this and his blame and he picked his teammates, picked the coach, and then demanded that the coach and the general manager get fired for him to stay. I'm not going to say that Sean Marks is the best GM in history, right? But he did, with limited assets when he started, build a team and a situation that attracted Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. He did that. He has done nothing wrong aside from give in to the whims of a guy who is never going to be happy. And that is a long contract he signed. He knew exactly what he was doing when he signed it. And if I was Brooklyn, I hope, like, it seems like he might be one owner, Joe Tsai, to say, you know what? Fuck it. Stay home then. Like, we won't pay you. That's fine. Stay home. Unless we get everything, we're not trading you. And you're going to have to play here. And I would dare him to not play. That's what I hope somebody does some shit like that, because this is ridiculous. What Kevin Durant is pulling on that team is I think, like 10 out of 10 ridiculous. Probably the worst one of these that a superstar has ever done to a team. I think what Kevin Durant is doing. They acquiesced to his every whim. They got whatever he wanted.
I would say the Ben thing is worse.
Ben's not as good as Durant.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't.
And he didn't, like, Ben didn't, there was a lot of things that Ben didn't, but like, I'm not defending Ben, let's just be clear. There's a lot of things that he wanted that he didn't get. Kevin Durant got everything. This situation was everything he wanted. They're like, you want DeAndre Jordan? Okay, he's your friend? Okay, whatever.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that he got everything he wanted. Slight giving him some rope as far as, like, when he arranged this stuff, it wasn't like, okay, and then there's going to be a pandemic, and then Kyrie won't get vaccinated from it, and then that'll be the
Kyrie's
whole...
his friend. You can't blame the Nets for that.
I'm not... Yeah. I don't blame the Nets either. I blame, like, Kyrie, and then just, like, that's a tough break. If the pandemic didn't happen, he probably would have played more. It just, like, sucks
Mike's
for him.
book on the pandemic, A Tough Break.
A tough break. Argue with me. Prove me wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think he's also being, like, more cagey about it. He just hasn't spoken to the media really, or anybody saying like what he wants or what went wrong or his view of the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not a good president of basketball operations.
Most players are not, to be honest with you. You know, a question I asked you that I didn't answer. I don't think that this is going to happen. I think they're trying to drum up a market for him. By the way, a very interesting thing, when Shams reported it, ESPN not going with the story for 6 hours because of Woj is a very interesting media plot line, if you like it. Ethan Strauss wrote a very interesting thing on it, like on one of Lunatic Woj's, and it's fucking wild to see. But I just truly I truly hope the Nets let him. But I think this is them trying to drum up a market. I think it's Boston or Phoenix. I still, if I had a bet, I don't know why I would bet on Phoenix. But man, honestly, it would make you, part of it is like trade for him so the Celtics don't trade for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think spitefully Brooklyn is like, well, we don't want to trade him to Philly because they fucking Daryl and the Harden thing. That's bullshit. Fuck them. And I don't want to trade him to Boston because we fucking owed them picks for 10 years because of the KG and Paul Pierce trade. That's embarrassing. Let's just trade him to the fucking West and like never think about it again.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I think sometimes people assume like, well, you can't be that like emotional in those kinds of things, but like, of course they are. Of course they are.
They're people.
Spiteful people.
Yeah.
Spiteful weeders. I think, Boston, I obviously don't want them to get Durant. I would be happy for Jaylen Brown to not be there anymore because I like Jaylen Brown, but and shorten their window and whatever. Hopefully they never win and they have less time where they're good. But it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. I also feel a little bit like looking at the Sixers team as is. I think they had a very like sort of similar to Daryl's first offseason, just like a really nice, obvious, good offseason. Like the Harden thing was kind of fell into their lap as far as taking a pay cut goes. But like the team looks really good right now. They had a very healthy, solid singles and doubles, normal
sense-making offseason.
A sense-making offseason. I would love one more like condense a couple guys like a Matisse and Korkmaz for Reggie Bullock type of deal. That kind of thing just to like tighten it up and have one better, more playable two-way guy in addition to Dan House. But I kind of want to see it, I guess, is how I'm looking at the team. I want to see it. I want to see how much better Tyrese gets, how much better Tyrese and Harden play together. Harden, one of the drawbacks of Harden with Durant is like he still doesn't move off ball. So like you would like, it's a lot of him standing there if Durant is there rather than like him having the ball in his hands doing that. And, Tyrese can keep cutting around and moving around and all that stuff and run the offense when he's not there. But yeah, I'd like to see it. And it feels a little bit, it's obviously very different in a bunch of ways, but it feels a little bit like after they lost to the Raptors on the Kawhi shot where you're like, okay, this team is good. Let's
Keep
just everybody like nobody do anything fucking stupid. Let's improve a couple areas and let's just go into the season and like be the best team in the league that we saw at the end of the season. Obviously, it didn't work out. There's a lot of financial reasons it didn't work out and many more personality reasons it didn't work out. But then they went and did Horford. They traded Jimmy for Josh Richardson, blah, blah, blah. And then it went to hell. So I just kind of want to like see this. Even though it's Kevin Durant, I would probably still do it. I want to see this. I want to hold on to Maxey. And I want to do like one more little trade to get into the season. And I want to win a championship. I want to win a championship with this team.
Before we get into the Ben Simmons group chat situation, which I've been dying to talk about, I'm curious, I'm going to look what you think the futures market is for the Phillies winning the World Series.
Oh.
So the two favorites to win the World Series are the Dodgers at plus 370, the Yankees at plus 425. Where do you see the Phillies as World Series contenders? Odds.
1,600.
They're plus 3,500.
Oh, that's low. That's
They
a
are
little low.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th. And then to win the National League, the Phillies are plus 1,500. Now, National League is pretty stacked. National League is good. It'd be tough to get a National League, but what a turnaround of the season for one Philadelphia Phillies. If you'd like to make a futures bet like that at DraftKings Sportsbook, when you sign up, if you're a new user, use code RTRS. Use code RTRS. You get a risk-free bet of up to $1,000. I don't know the math, but plus $3,500 on $1,000, a lot of money. Make your first bet up to $1,000. If it doesn't hit, you get another shot to win big. You can bet, of course, baseball futures. You could do the awesome same-game parlays. Football is coming. It's preseason football. Eagles play Friday, right? Play the Jets, I think, on Friday. Eagles preseason action coming up soon. So DraftKings safe, secure, reliable. Use code RTRS. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That is code RTRS. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Okay. So Rick Bucher was on some show, and he said this. Rick Bucher, enemy of the process for a very long time. Rick Bucher said,
Rick Bucher did the Knicks process tweet?
yes, that is
Great.
That is him. So
Great.
Here he goes.
Ben Simmons, they're having a team chat before Game 4, thinking he's going to play against the Boston Celtics. And from what I'm told, Ben just left the chat. They asked him, are you going to play? Ben left the chat. Like, he didn't even answer the question, just left the chat. And Katie's like, this is what I signed up. Like, this is who I'm playing with?
Okay. So then, after that, Rick Bucher says that. Then the legendary Shams was on with one Pat McAfee. And Pat McAfee asked him about the rumor. And Shams, who, it should be noted, has the same exact agent as Ben Simmons. Just it should be noted, says this.
All I'm going to say on this is this never happened.
Whoa.
Never
Bucher? You're calling Bucher a liar?
Never happened. And
I don't think
Ben
it's
Simmons actually, yeah, I'm gonna do some more.
He's
I'm
ruining my
gonna give Ben Simmons some love here. I mean, from everything I've been told, he is doing more on the floor. He's looking good.
Hope so.
I think the Nets have high expectations for Ben Simmons next year.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a guy 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA guy. I think that there are high expectations for Ben Simmons. He's supposed to be ready for training camp here in a month and a half, and so he's doing more and more on the court, I'm told. So good news on the Ben Simmons front. This though was not something that occurred.
Man.
All right. So that is
funny
from
that
the
like
Pat McAfee show.
They're sort of like punking him as he's giving his report.
Yes.
They're sort of like whispering about it, being like, "This fucking what the fuck." No way.
The best part is that Shams, who has the same agent as Ben Simmons, was like, not only did it not happen, good news about Ben Simmons. This has actually been a very good offseason for Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Mike, do you believe this happened?
I don't know. I wanted to have it. I think it's funny to be like, "Are you playing?" To be like, I'm gone. I'm out of here. Don't text me anymore. It's a funny thing.
Then
But
Ben
the
tweeted,
idea-
by the way, tweeted slow news day and the crying laughing emoji. I'm sure
he was crying laughing. He's probably laughing so hard that he was crying. It sounds like that. It sounds like he was crying so hard that he was he was laughing so hard that he was crying. Or maybe he was crying so hard that he was laughing. Also happens.
You never know.
The emoji doesn't say which came first.
Right.
It doesn't say I'm laughing so hard that I'm crying. It could be I'm crying so hard that I'm laughing.
It doesn't say what the dominant emotion is, whether it's crying or laughing.
That's right. It's so like weird and bald. I mean, this is the way in like the whole fucking Mike criticizes society corner, but like him being like, just him not acknowledging like the clear, obvious conflict of interest he has to be like, I'm actually going to say 3-time All-Star, all this stuff. It's like, yeah, we all know, like everybody knows that he was at one point good and did a bunch of good stuff. And then he hasn't played in a long time.
20 years. He hasn't played in 2 decades.
It does feel like that.
Yeah.
And he's actually doing some good stuff on the court. I think the one of the guys that was whispering was just like, I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. And Sean's
Totally.
just like, I'm still reading I can hear you guys snickering, but I'm reading my report. I'm reading my report to the class. I'm reading my report that mommy wrote that I'm going to read to the class and do my job.
It totally didn't happen. It totally didn't happen. In fact, everything is going so great with Ben Simmons.
On this is this never happened.
Whoa.
Never
Bucher? You're calling Bucher a liar?
Never happened. And
I don't think
Ben
it's that-
Simmons actually. Yeah, I'm gonna do some more.
He's
I'm
ruining my movie.
gonna give Ben Simmons some love on here. I mean, from everything I've been told, he is doing more on the floor. He's looking good.
Hope so.
Um,
He's doing more on the floor.
I hope so. That's where his job is.
Looking good.
That's where job is, man.
Oh,
Gotta be doing
man.
a job on floor.
Holy fuck,
I like that he
man.
go like, he's like, let me fucking blow your mind for a second, man. that cool story you heard, that really cool story, never happened. A boring story happened instead. The guy who's a basketball player is playing basketball.
He didn't
I'm
even
blowing
say
your
that.
mind here. I know. Let me do one more. He's like doing it in the mode of like, I'm gonna say some cool shit here, but it's just like not at all. So good job. This is
Hashtag
nothing against
Team
like
Bucher.
Woj or
I'm Team
Shams.
Bucher.
I respect.
Yeah.
I just have such a like little. I've done this rant before, but I have such little respect for just like journalists that just report what they are told, like uncritically, or like someone texted me this, and I'm gonna then report it, and like that's my whole thing. Like I'm not necessarily a good writer. I don't have like whenever he talks about basketball, he sounds like he's like pretending. Like actual basketball, not like just this person signs for this many years or whatever. But I just have such a little respect for like that that like job type. It's just like the agency should just have a PR company that do it. Like, what is the point? It's so like
weird.
You cozy up to people, conflict with something, and you just do it, and like you text people like because you're like, hey, hang out. Let me break the story. Like it's not interesting. I think it's like a not interesting like sniveling type of job, and they get all this clout from it, and I just couldn't respect it any less. I really don't.
I heard months ago. I forget
In any sport, not Woj and Shams specific, just like all of that stuff. Like if you break like a big complex story where you're digging for it for years and all that stuff, fine. But like I'm issuing a PR statement for this like one line. It's just like it doesn't matter. Like
I think the most interesting thing about them specifically, because they do it more than there are NFL writers who do it too. But I heard Amin Al-Hassan talking about it. And he's like, the news that they're breaking, this is to your point. He's like, you would just find out like 5 minutes later if they didn't break it.
yeah.
Like a trade that happens that they break, the trade news is, even if they didn't exist, if you didn't follow them, you would find out at worst, you would find out like a day later. And
whenever it's just like league protocol that they can't report it yet. So we'll just leak it to this journalist instead.
It's very strange. And it creates like the rumor shit I like that this one's talking to this one, is talking to this one. They're talking about this deal. Look,
Sure.
It fuels us.
Oh, I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying I don't respect it. The
Right.
job of doing it. I appreciate having it, having the information. I'm not saying I don't want it. I'm just saying
Right.
it doesn't earn my respect.
The ESPN polled their experts. I wonder who the actually, I think they had it in there. I didn't look. I'm bad at that. ESPN polled their experts and came up with projected win totals for the Eastern and Western conferences in the NBA. Here is their projection for the Eastern Conference. Tied for first place, the Celtics and the Bucks at 54 and 28. Number 3, the Miami Heat at 51 and 31. Then the Sixers at 50 and 32. Then the Raptors and the Hawks at 47 and 46 wins, respectively, all in the, quote, contenders category. Mike, your thoughts? I mean, 50 and 32 sounds possible. I think they'll
It
win more
sounds totally
games than
possible.
that.
It sounds totally fine. I think the Heat should not be higher than the Sixers. I think they lose PJ Tucker. They were really counting on so much out of Jimmy last year. Lowry might be better than he was towards the end of the year, maybe, but he's also old. Bam is such a worthless offensive weapon. He's a good passer as a big man for sure and a good roller, but like everyone's begging him to take shots. Every time Bam shoots when I'm watching the Sixers play them, I'm so happy about it. I'm so happy he has that long, like slow, like baseball swing of a jumper that takes forever.
He hasn't
and
evolved offensively. Like I thought he'd be shooting threes.
No,
by
in
now.
any way.
Yeah.
In any way.
Yeah.
He's a great defensive player. He's an excellent defensive player. I really enjoy watching him play defense, but he's just so not special offensively. Like he can dribble up the court sometimes and like go behind his back and all that stuff, but he's not like, he has no way to like methodically score in any way. And he's not a weapon off the ball because he's not a shooter from anywhere. So, yeah. Anyway, I think without PJ Tucker, they're going to be hurting a little bit. They're also like, they keep finding guys that are helpful. It's very frustrating. They fucking stole Haywood Highsmith from us, and he's going to be a useful NBA player.
By the way,
one
Zach
of the
Lowe
Martin
was
twins.
singing Haywood
I know,
Highsmith's.
it's very frustrating. He was
Yeah.
ours. We had him on the Ricky, didn't we?
Yes, when we
He was
were
on
at
the live show. At
the live
Blue
show.
Coats game.
Yep.
Yeah, and Max Strus is very good. Like they're going to be good. They're not going to be a bad team, but I just think like the Sixers are a better team than them. And the Sixers would have beaten them even last year when the Sixers were not that good of a team had Embiid been healthy. And he wasn't.
I think they are spot on with the Bucks and the Celtics at number one, and that is not particularly controversial at all.
Healthy Chris Middleton, deeper Boston team. Yeah, for sure. I
am curious to see what the Cavaliers look like. I've since I saw him play the first time right before the draft, love Darius Garland.
He's awesome.
And they'll be a pretty good team, man. I don't think it's crazy to think they could be better than the Hawks. So
I think if the Hawks, that gives the Hawks a lot of credit, those rankings. And having not heard them, I was already like thinking like, I think the Hawks are going to be good and I would bet the over, but that already gives them that kind of credit. So yeah, I think the Hawks are going to be very good. Trae Young's awesome. DeJounte kicks ass. Weird beef with DeJounte and Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, I saw that
in the pickup game. That's kind of fun. But yeah, the Cavs would get. I mean, there are many very good teams in the league. Like there are many. Like it is a very exciting time to be a basketball fan. Even the bad teams. I struggle to think of a couple bad teams that are like truly pointless, because some like the rebuilding teams are rebuilding in the right way, in a smart way, and anybody that gets a top 3 or 4 pick next year is going to come up with a franchise player. It's a really good draft next season. So I think Phil's take the lead. That's big.
There you go. Plus 3,000 at DraftKings.
There you go. But the league is just extremely healthy right now. There's just a lot of really good players and a lot of good teams, and it's going to be. I think this year, what a weird season to end in a Warriors-Celtics finals, and next year I think is going to be similarly bizarre because there's a lot of just really, really good teams, and none of them quite stand out as like that number one, especially with injuries and blah blah blah. So I'm loving it. I'm gonna wear a Rob Lowe NBA hat. Just a fan of the league.
This never happens.
Whoa.
Before we get to the mailbag, some great mailbag questions. Actually, 10 out of 10 mailbag. Final sponsor for this week, Briggs Auction. I finally won my first Briggs auction. So psyched that I won. They had these. There's the coolest shit at Briggs Auction. 4-generation family owned and operated auction house in Delaware County. I won these like Vietnam protest posters from right around the Vietnam War of people that posted them to organize rallies, and I thought it was the coolest shit ever. It was like $30. I ended up winning it for. It was great. The Briggs auctions happen every other week or so. It's been the summer of auctions. There's been a ton of them. The next one is August 19th. It's a state auctions, but everything from the coolest vinyl to the most amazing sports collectibles to furniture, by the way, which is great. It's one-of-a-kind furniture, and you don't have to wait 6 months because of the delays that new furniture take right now because of supply chain stuff. Classic jewelry, all this kind of stuff. Over 500 lots in every auction starting at $1. Honestly, the coolest shit. Download the app, the Briggs auction app, Briggs, for the App Store or Google Play, or go to briggsauction.com/Ricky. You win the auction. Pickup is easy by appointment during the week. Saturdays, they have open pickup, and they work with shippers, so they could ship it to you if you like that as well. And if you are downsizing, you would like to do an estate auction, you send an email to info@briggsauction.com, info@briggsauction.com. Once again, Briggs Auction, I want an auction, briggsauction.com. Over to the mailbag. I think that's the next thing we have. Oh no, Hardest Stomach YouTube comment of the week. This comes from Seidanine. Better it be yoga pants than one more NFT gang account. Of course, talking about Daryl's Twitter follows. Still following girls in yoga pant.
Did he reach out to you?
He did not.
Okay.
We were not the only organization to reference this, to be clear. There was a lot of publicity I noticed afterwards about the Daryl following girls in yoga pant. So
just a fan of the fabric. That's all.
It's the fabric. And I would much rather have him following girls in yoga pant than crypto accounts and NFT accounts and so on and so forth.
Crypto girls in yoga pant.
Ooh. Girls in crypto pants.
The comfiest fabric.
Yep.
Nice and soft. Almost like it's not there at all.
It's like wearing nothing at all.
It's like wearing nothing whatsoever.
If you'd like to send us an email, do it to writes@rickysanchez@gmail.com. Send us a basketball and a non-basketball question. Or you can leave us a voicemail at 833-LICKFACE. That's 833-LICKFACE. This comes from Matt, Spike, Mike, and CJ. The recent pod comparing Joel's legacy to Iverson's legacy got me thinking about Iverson's boat. In my mind, Joel is clearly the more talented, more complete player, but the argument for Iverson would probably be his effort level. So my question is, how big is Joel's boat? Does he have a boat in his gut? We've seen him react poorly and borderline mope, especially in the playoffs. I love Joel, and I think that he is in the tier just below LeBron and KD, and I recognize that he's overcome maybe more than most players ever will, mostly speaking injury-wise, but I do worry that sometimes he falls victim to moping when things get tough. Mike, does Joel have a boat in his gut?
I think I don't disagree that sometimes it looks like he's moping and stuff, and that might be the case, but I think that lends itself to him being like so big and having to expend so much energy, and when he like doesn't do that, he looks even slower and like he doesn't care, or is not trying his hardest.
I think that is a generous.
It's probably generous, but like he is. You know, you look at him in the Raptors series and how much like it took out of him and stuff, and how many times he's come back maybe a little too early from like very violent injuries to like play either with like a mask on or whatever the fuck and taking it off and trying. Like he really wants to be there. He really gives a shit. He's just not like, he's fast for his size. He's just not like fast as a player. So when guys beat him to loose balls or whatever, it looks like, oh, he doesn't have it as much, but more, he's just like, he's 7'2" and he's doing everything on both ends. So like, there's sometimes he doesn't get loose balls.
I think he's got I think he's, for as much as I love him, he has fallen victim to being a sailboat rather than a motorboat. And if the wind is going in the direction of the finish line, then he is great at going fast with it. But when things get tough, he has not enough times for my liking, though I love him, not enough times for my liking, lifted the team up when they needed him. And he is too much gone down with the ship. Another boat reference. So
certainly not in the playoffs. Certainly not in the playoffs. Hasn't done enough. Yeah, that's fair.
I want him to be that, and it is not too late. And there are certainly tons of examples of players who haven't gotten there until their late 20s. So I think it's possible. But I also think that it is fair to acknowledge that he has not really. He's fallen short in that a lot.
I think this team is arguably the best team he's had around him that will allow, like, other guys can do the, like, go fight for something so he can, fight for a loose ball, battle inside, take some bumps and bruises for him so he can just do the things he has to do and not be required to do everything for the team. And so if he takes them, to the conference finals and beyond because he hit a bunch of big shots and went to the line 14 times and, prevented Giannis from getting to the rim every time because, like, PJ Tucker finally got a loose ball that the Sixers wouldn't have gotten last year, or DeAnthony Melton finally got a stop on one end, whatever, then I think that narrative will change. But I don't disagree that, like, because of his environment and things that haven't worked out, that it sometimes appears that way. And I think he's matured from earlier years as well.
Mm-hmm. And I do give him credit for what he has battled back from. It
on and off court.
Yes, it has would have stopped most players. This comes from Nick in the Northeast. Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. This weekend, Toby got married on Long Island. He wrote in Long Island, but since I live up here now, I know it's on Long Island. And I only saw one post from a teammate, Yang. Meanwhile, Ruben's party, you saw tons of pictures and posts from players. Does this concern you? Because it slightly concerns me for vibe/chemistry reasons.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like a fracture of sorts between
no Embiid, no Harden,
Yeah, I mean, like, Harden, I'm not surprised that, like, Tobias wouldn't invite Harden. He just, just got on the team a little bit ago.
Stand in the corner.
Who knows when invitations have gone out, blah, blah, blah. But the Embiid thing is a little bit weird, and hopefully there's some communication there. But Embiid, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I want Embiid to be the, like, kind of
connector,
mature protagonist a little bit, and just, like, keep the team together, basically, like, a little bit more Steph Curry to him, where he's just, like, always, like, rousing the guys, but it's just not, like, it doesn't seem like it's really his personality. And he's gonna like the guys he likes, and he's gonna kind of be a little sour to the guys that he's maybe not as close with. I feel like him and Tobias had been pretty close, I think, on court, on team playing, whatever. But it doesn't seem like he was there. At least didn't make it a priority, which is kind of a bummer. I want everyone to be friends. I want everyone to like each other. Maybe it'll happen in Charleston, South Carolina, in a couple weeks or a month or whatever, when they finally do the wine tasting tour as a team.
Non-basketball question, but related. Do you have to invite your coworkers and or boss to your wedding? Feels like this was an old school thing, but I did it when I got married. Love the pod. Thanks for everything you guys do.
What do you think?
Well, as far as coworkers, you should just invite the coworkers that you want to invite. I think Jerry Seinfeld has a great bit that, like, nobody actually wants to come to your wedding, which is very funny, is that people feel, like, offended when they don't get invited, but then also don't feel like going. As far as inviting your boss, this is weird because I manage a lot of people. I want to preface it with you do not have to invite me to your wedding. I'm not.
Yeah, how many people have versus haven't?
Well, I was just at Elliot's wedding, and I am not his manager anymore, but I was. But there were some people that didn't invite me. I guess what I would say is, as a person who is a manager, you do not have to invite your manager to a wedding. That doesn't go for. There are some that will take offense. I would not take offense, but I would love to be the kind of boss that you would consider inviting, because I've been a plus in your career. But I think a lot of that has gone by the wayside, the invite your boss to the wedding. What do you think?
Yeah, I've never heard that like conversation. I do think like it is not offensive to. I think it's odd that it's considered like not offensive to not go to a wedding, but it is offensive to not be invited. And I think that's just an odd arrangement of things. But yeah, I mean, invite who you want to invite.
And final question from Jackson, the person who let me know about the Ricky Reddit. Hey, Spike and Mike, not sure if you guys have done this before. I'm a new listener since the first Harden trade. The first Harden trade. What does that mean? But I think it would be pretty cool. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez Reddit did not think it was a great idea, as it got 0 upvotes and 0 comments. A Rights to Ricky Sanchez
calls it out.
Fantasy football team. Maybe the loser gets a predetermined Rights to Ricky Sanchez Sixers tattoo.
Winner gets to hang out with CJ's friend group.
Yeah. Gets measured by CJ's dad.
Stepdad. Or
girlfriend's dad. His girlfriend's dad, yeah. I do not like fantasy football, so I will not be participating, and I do not have the time or energy to set it up for other people. But if people in the Rights to Ricky Sanchez Reddit or the Twitter group or whatever want to do it and use our name, as long as you make it clear that I'm not responsible for it, then that's fine.
Fair.
Mike,
Great.
how do you feel about fantasy football?
I like it. I like it as it is. I'm in a How I Met Your Mother fantasy football league that's been going on for over a decade now, which is cool. And I'm in a family fantasy league, and I can't do more than two. Than two, and it's just like you start sweating it. I'm in my WNBA fantasy championship right now. I am losing, which I don't like. I lost in the championship. Actually, I tied in the championship by 1 free throw, and then he got the tiebreaker in the John Gonzalez Execs League, which I will be upset about forever. But yeah, I hope everyone in the Ricky Fantasy Football League does it and has a lovely time. And the battle to join CJ's friend group commences.
I remember, like, Ike would, like, when it would be football season, he would say, so-and-so had so-and-so in fantasy, had so-and-so in fantasy. And I was like, how do you have every fucking player in fantasy? And he was one of those guys that would have like 6 fucking fantasy teams. People are lunatics with fantasy football. Lunatic.
He's just, former athlete trying to like just get sweat back, just
Little
trying to
juice.
feel that emotion,
Yeah.
any juice whatsoever.
Little juice. All right. Well, maybe the Sixers will trade for Kevin Durant. We'll have to do an emergency pod. Never know. We will talk to you next time. Wherever you are, CJ, hope you're having a good time. Happy boyfriend day. Are you down
Call
with
us, CJ. Make sure you're okay. Let us know you got there safely.
Text us when you get there. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Lick face.